Toxic productivity. Is that a thing? I mean, we've all heard of toxic positivity, right? We know what that is. But toxic productivity? That makes me a little bit interested. How about you? Are you feeling overworked, overbooked, overscheduled, maybe just completely overwhelmed? You know you're getting through your days and you're doing a lot of things, yet you don't feel like you're checking anything really off your list? This episode, I'm going to dive into toxic productivity, what that looks like, what it is, how it can be impacting our lives, and what I've learned from it over the last couple months that has totally blown my mind. So let's do this. You're listening to the Girl Get Your Face Off a Bus Bench podcast, where we invite you to check your ego at the app, grab a cup of coffee, and get ready to dive into all things real estate marketing, social media, friendship, hardship, love, money mindset, and all the things that celebrate you as a badass boss babe.
We're here to encourage you, show up for you, give you a loving kick in the pants when you need it most, and be your soft place to land on the hardest of days. So pull up a seat at our table and get ready to be inspired and start living your best life by design.
Welcome to the Girl Get Your Face Off a Bus Bench podcast. We are so excited you're here.
Okay, girls, let's dive in.
Okay, Bus Bench babes, we are well into 2023 at this point. I cannot even believe it. The holidays were great. We celebrated Kaya's 4th birthday, and like I said, we're well into the new year. So much has been going on and a lot of exciting stuff, but a lot of stuff that can also make you feel a little bit overwhelmed, right? All the buzz out there right now is goal and intention setting and resolutions and how to make 2023 your best year yet. And all of these things to get us like jump started, kick started to make our year the best year ever, right? And while I agree with all those things can be very, very helpful, what happens when it becomes the opposite? When it actually becomes overwhelming and paralyzing and you get stuck into a space that just no longer serves you? So today on the podcast, I'm going to chat all about toxic productivity, what that is, what it does to your life, your family. I mean, if you've heard of it, maybe even I more recently have heard of it myself, and how we can get out of that. Okay, so if you're anything like me, you love productivity. Or at least you're an entrepreneur who's trying to be productive, right? And last year on episode 45 on the podcast, I chat all about productivity hacks to create freedom. And if you are new to the show or you haven't checked that out yet, or you just need a refresh, definitely head to it. I share all my tips and tricks on how I stay productive, stay like in a really good mindset for my days, and really like use that as like a grounding space for my work environment. So again, episode 45, go back to that if you haven't checked it out yet, because that will really help during this episode. But more recently, what I have learned is that I can be overproductive, and I'm not alone in this. Shocker, right? So if you're hearing this, and this might sound like you, this episode is made for you. So more recently, I was chatting with my coach, and we were talking all about, carving out space and what that looked like. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to carve out this white space and then I'm going to do X, Y, Z. And she was like, no, like do nothing. And it like caught me off guard. What do you mean do nothing? And she was like, do nothing. And so I had been thinking, okay, I get through my things I need to do for the day or like the week. And then I have this hour or two or whatever that looks like in my week. And I'm going to schedule the things that are for me. And that's going to be my downtime. And what I didn't realize is I was never giving myself an actual break, an actual like time off, actual white space. And this might seem really elementary to some of you. And if it is, like, I get it. But I was really shocked that I was actually not carving out time to just do nothing. And I was actually extremely overproductive. So I love being productive. It's how Ryan and I have managed to, create the life that we have, create this life by design, show up for my daughter in the ways that I want to, show up as a friend, as, a mom, as a wife, as a human to myself, like in the ways that I want to. What I didn't realize, what it was also allowing me to like be hyper productive in the white space of my life. So have you ever gone through a day and at the end you feel super overwhelmed, but you feel like you didn't check anything off? Or maybe you did check stuff off, but the list just keeps going and going and going. And you realize, wait, I think I carved out some time for myself, but I just like either took the dogs for a walk or went and got groceries or I mean anything, right? It could just be anything. I did the dishes. You're always like doing something. Or me, like I'm journaling and I'm also like sort of cleaning or like listening to a podcast or just doing something else. It was never just like this space. And I realized the only time I really have allowed for that in my life, mostly, has been when we're not home, like when we're either on vacation or we're up north on the North Shore or that kind of thing. And that's when it feels really good. And after spending an entire year not feeling very grounded at all for various reasons, I realized this has to be part of that missing piece. And so I started looking into this after my business coach, shared that with me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have toxic productivity in my life. What am I doing? I'm like scheduling out way too many things. And you might be listening to this thinking like, oh my gosh, she's so like type A, that kind of thing. And that's actually not the case. It's I'll schedule. And then when you do get the space, like for instance, we'd have to be gone or we'd have to be doing something where I was completely removed from like the normal everyday life in order to really do that. Yet I crave it so much. So if this resonates with you, I think you're going to love this episode. And I'm going to share a little bit more about episode 45 and how that relates to this. So first of all, what is toxic productivity? And basically it's like overworking, overbooking, overscheduling, that state of overwhelm at the expense of your mental health, your physical health, your life, your relationships, all of that jazz. And after having a really busy fourth quarter, work wise, and the holidays combined with that, it really hit me hard. And I realized I need that white space more than ever before. I should also add that I'm a doer. And if you're a doer as well, you like to get things done. It feels good to check things off. And like you may be wired that way. And my human design, I am literally a doer. Like I need to do. And so this is especially hard for me. And it might be for you too. And once you get to the point where you realize it's actually affecting you in such a negative way as well, you have to take a step back, right? Like it's the beginning of 2023 and all this buzz of what I need to be doing, what I should be doing. I need to set my goals. I need to set my intentions. I need to lose, XYZ weight. I need to, start this new fad diet. All these things that I need to do. I need to do this new trend on Instagram or this new reel or get on TikTok, like all these things. And it's just filling up the space when maybe this time of year we actually need that white space to ground ourselves and figure out what it actually needs to look like and how to maybe be less productive in the white space, not in the other space, because I'm still like super jazzed about productivity. So when we load up that freedom, that white space with more like productive things, more to-do lists, whether or not we believe that it's something that we're doing for ourselves, we eliminate that ability to actually like shut down, quiet our minds, quiet our bodies, and like really just be. And this, I am so guilty of this. And this is such a hard space to be in. So if we go back to episode 45, Productivity Hacks to Create Freedom, I talk all about getting in the right headspace first and like how that is so crucially important. And again, if you haven't checked out this episode, I just really strongly recommend going back to it. It's really packed with like some really great tools and tips to get started like right now. So getting in that headspace first and like, what does that look like for you? Whether it be you're going to meditate, go for a walk, just take a few deep breaths before, you sit down at your desk, making sure you're hydrating, all that jazz, but making sure you're getting in a right headspace before you go and do anything productive for the day. The next thing that I've really been thinking about a lot, and I chat about this in that episode as well, is prioritizing what actually needs to be done. So I am so guilty of this. I will take my schedule and like carve it out for the day. And you get thrown a curveball. Like I've loaded in some of that space, just in case, that buffer, just in case, which is fine. But then I'll realize like, ooh, I have about 10 minutes left. And this next project will only take about 20 minutes, maybe 25. Let me go ahead and do that. And I will like add something else in just to take it off my task list for the next day. And I realize I do this continually. And for me, it feels super productive, but I'm actually taking out that time with my family, that time for myself, and any white space that I created for that day. So that's sort of where this gets a little out of control. So really getting in that right headspace first, making sure you're sitting down and working from a space where you feel grounded, making decisions from that space is so, so important. So whatever that looks like for you, starting there. I also chat about time blocking and batch working, which is my jam. I am obsessed for this. I love this. It's like one of my favorite things. I truly believe it is like the key to success when you are trying to wear multiple hats and different roles within entrepreneurship. And it's just really, really important. And I really dive deep into that. But with that, making sure again that we're carving out time to do nothing. And this is so new to me, I think, in this like space of like just sitting, meditating, like going for a walk or a hike, but doing nothing else. Like I will go for a walk and take my coaching call. I'll go for a walk and take my dogs out and make sure they're having their needs met. I will sit and journal or like sit and work on my computer, but not just sit in that space. I'll go out and enjoy nature with my daughter, right? We'll go for hikes or go down to the river and play, or in the summer, or go out sledding, that kind of thing in the winter. But I'm not actually just going out in nature myself and enjoying it. So with this, like making sure that we're actually carving out that white space, not just that buffer, and whatever that looks like for you, it can be anything that truly, truly calms our bodies, calms our minds, and gives us that like reconnection with ourselves. And really nature, the universe, is so hugely important. And that is like one of my top priorities for 2023. And while we're in that space, also making sure we're unplugging, right? So in episode 45, I talk about making sure that you are closing all your tabs, right? All your open tabs on your computer, making sure they're all gone. So with this, I'm adding on here is like turning off your phone, turning off your Apple Watch. I got an Apple Watch for Christmas this year, and I sort of have like a love-hate relationship with it because of the notifications. I'm still learning how to use it, but turning everything off that can beep at you, blink at you, vibrate, that you just know you're connected to something else with: computer, watch, phone, everything. Like making sure that's turned off when you are, having that white space and when you are grounding yourself. Another thing I really dive into is releasing expectations of others that you can't control. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're doing this yourself, you still are relying on others, right? Like clients or others to make sure everything is flowing effectively. If you're on a team, if you're a realtor, you're definitely relying on other people. And this was a huge thing for me last year to learn, was how to really like, I've done my part, I've showed up, I've done my best, and now I just need to release it. And if it is not complete or not finished, like I actually can't do anything with that, and I have to let it go. So releasing the expectations of others after you've done your part, you've done what you can, you've supported in the way that you can, and letting it go. Another part of that is setting boundaries. And this has been something that is a little bit trickier for me. I've struggled with this. I worked really hard on this for the last couple of years. And this last year, to be really transparent, has been really hard with boundaries. And with, having growing pains, and we have a team that's growing and different needs, and like we're also implementing new business structures and that kind of thing, there's a lot of moving parts. So you sort of have to like reevaluate and readdress this as you go. And so having clear work and personal boundaries are just key. It's absolutely key to your mental health, to making sure you have time for yourself, to making sure you're not overworking yourself, you're not increasing that toxic productivity in your life. And one of the things that we implemented this year on the team that has been really important was Slack. So we use Slack as a means of communication, and that has been really helpful, but also like making sure you're setting boundaries within even that sort of communication. And one of the things that I've struggled with here is, just because you're available doesn't mean you're available. And again, that time that's like taken out, like I've got my to-do list done. I've checked everything off for the day. Oh, well, I could go answer more messages, or I could be available for a call, or I could just take that time for myself, take that time for my family, and make sure I'm showing up in the way that I need to be. So then tomorrow I can also be my best self. This has been something hard for me because it seems so easy to like respond to that message quick, or, take that quick phone call or shoot that email off because you want to help. If you're a doer and a helper like myself, that's what you want. You want everyone to be successful. And there's guilt that comes with that. So this is something that I have struggled with, especially over the last year with growing the team, and that it is on my radar for 2023. And I'm working really hard at setting really healthy boundaries, which will not only help myself and my family, but they will help the team in return, because it'll increase like your ability to show up at a better capacity and your relationships within that. So that is also something that is so, so important when we talk about productivity and it like kind of taking over our life. Something I mentioned a little bit earlier that I just want to touch on one more time before we close out here is that adding a buffer to your day is so hugely important, because you can get thrown curveballs. And so many times in entrepreneurship, real estate, whatever business you are in, we really need that space, that extra buffer to make sure that we can get thrown a curveball and not get completely thrown off. Have you ever had it where you were thrown a curveball and it just completely screwed your whole day up? I mean, that has happened to me. I can't even, like a million times, right? And so creating that buffer in your day, which I dive into how to do that in episode 45, that really helps so much as well in creating, that space for you. So my goals for 2023 right now, as far as productivity goes, and as far as, being really mindful of where my time is going and my energy, is making sure that my boundaries are a little bit more solid around productivity, which is so funny because this is like my jam and I love it, but also recognizing that I don't always need to be productive in all moments of my life, and that white space is just as important as space that is filled up, if not maybe more important. And how I'm able to show up as a better human, a better wife, a better friend, for myself, a better mom, is in when I have that space is crucial. And I'm noticing just these small little changes lately, like it's making a really big difference. So if you think that you might be stuck in toxic productivity and that really resonates with you, I would love to hear from you. Hit me up on social, send me a DM, or go ahead and hop on the website and shoot me a message there. I would really love to know if this resonated with you, because like I said, it is such a new thing for me that I didn't even know existed. And I think if you're in that same similar headspace as me, it will resonate with you as well. So cheering you all on in 2023. Cannot wait to see how we all evolve as humans, as business owners, and we are here for you every step of the way. So until next time, remember to keep your face off a bus bench. Go and check out episode 45, where I dive into productivity hacks that create freedom, and keep being the badass boss babe that you are. Okay, girls, are you feeling as inspired as we are? We're over here cheering you on because you just finished another episode of the Girl, Get Your Face Off a Bus Bench podcast.
If you want more, head over to girlgetyourfaceoffabusbench.com for show notes and more episodes. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. They mean the world to us, and they're what keep us going.
Girl, thanks for being here.